Ask your design consultant for details.
I'm Katie Couric. Serious questions are being raised tonight about the safety of a drug taken every day by hundreds of thousands of Americans. A new study is linking the most popular diabetes drug, Avandia, to an increased risk of heart attack, even death. In other medical news, a new kind of birth control pill that can stop your period for good. An explosion of violence in Lebanon, the worst in years, as the government fights militants linked to al-Qaeda. And gas prices passed the all-time high set more than a quarter century ago. We'll look at the strain that's putting on how we live.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Hello, everyone. We're starting with a story that affects hundreds of thousands of Americans because a new study out today says a drug they take increases their chances of having a heart attack and dying. It's the diabetes drug Avandia. More than 13 million Americans have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and about 1 million people take Avandia. This raises a number of serious questions. What are they to do now? And is the FDA doing enough to protect us from potentially dangerous drugs? We have 2 reports tonight. First, here's Wyatt Andrews.
It was a bombshell thrown directly at the world's most popular diabetes drug, Avandia, a wonder drug for type 2 diabetes because of its ability to lower blood sugar. But according to researchers at the Cleveland Clinic, patients on Avandia also have a 43% higher risk of heart attack and a 64% greater risk of cardiovascular death. The author of the study is the highly respected cardiologist, Dr. Stephen Nissen.
There are more heart attacks, strokes, deaths, etc. It is most urgent that both the FDA and the company look at the original source data and do careful analyses.
The FDA immediately issued a safety alert for Avandia, but otherwise took a wait-and-see approach. The FDA says it has studied the same data as Dr. Nissen, but that unpublished data suggest contradictory evidence about Avandia's risks, which essentially means the FDA doesn't have enough to pull the drug. The drug's maker, GlaxoSmithKline, said it strongly disagrees with Dr. Nissen's findings, saying Avandia's benefits continue to outweigh any treatment risks. On Capitol Hill, some congressmen wondered if the FDA had this research before, why did the safety alert come today?
We want to hear from the FDA why it took them so long to do anything and what they plan to do for the future. Is this a drug that should be still on the market?
Despite his dramatic findings, Dr. Nissen is not telling diabetes patients to quit Avandia. He is asking physicians to read this research and then consult their patients.
I do not want our study to lead to a public panic. Patients should not stop taking any drug on the basis of a news report.
Last August, the FDA did order changes to Avandia's label, warning that there might be a higher risk of heart attacks. But no one before today had ever quantified a 64% higher risk of death from such a widely used drug. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Washington.
Dr. John LaPook is our CBS News medical correspondent. John, I heard what the doctors said, but if I were taking this medication and I heard this study, I would be extremely nervous. So what is a patient to do?
Well, of course, talk to your doctor. And you shouldn't just stop taking this medicine, because that can make your blood sugar go up, and there are problems with that, too. Remember, Avandia works by helping your own body use insulin more efficiently. So hopefully you don't need to get a shot. So if you just go off of it, your blood sugar can go up. And there are other medicines that have been out there for a number of years that do seem to be safe in terms of
and don't have this heart attack risk, possibly.
Right.
Again, talk to your doctor. And when will we know definitively if Avandia is safe? Because there seems to be a fair amount of disagreement here.
It's really not clear. The authors of today's study, what they did was they rolled up a bunch of smaller studies, 42 of them, up into one bigger study. And there are problems with doing that. The gold standard is to take one large study, bunch of people, follow them forward over a number of years and see what happens. Unfortunately, that's not available yet, but there is a study like that going on, and we think we're going to have the results in about 2009.
All right, well, that's a few years away, but thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. And now to your financial health and what gasoline prices are doing to that. Gas is up another 12 cents in just the past week to a nationwide average tonight of $3.22 a gallon. Adjusting for inflation, that beats the all-time high set more than a quarter century ago at the start of the Iran-Iraq war. Since the beginning of this year, gas prices have soared more than $1 a gallon, and drivers are definitely feeling the pain in their wallets. Here's Anthony Mason.
The price rise at the pump has been relentless. Now how high can it go?
When are we going to see the peak?
We think if all things remain the same that we might peak at $3.25 a gallon, but it's very, very hard to say.
AAA's Robert Sinclair says already 19 states are averaging more than $3.25 a gallon, primarily in the Midwest and on the West Coast.
What's going on?
Well, we're seeing refineries not being able to keep up with demand.
Rising prices have yet to curb our appetite.
Gas is 30 cents a gallon higher than it was this time last year. Still, when the holiday kicks off this weekend, AAA says even more of us will be on the road.
32 million American drivers will be traveling as we kick off the peak driving season, and we're using 16% more gas than we did just a decade ago. But we haven't built a new refinery since 1976.
We're at the point now where every refinery in the United States has to run full out, and even then we can't keep up with demand. So the effect of one refinery going down now is felt in the marketplace.
A string of refinery outages this year has squeezed supplies, driving up prices. In Congress last week, Senator Jeff Bingaman asked,
why can't we cause that additional refining capacity to be built?
The analyst's answer,
it's immensely expensive now to add refineries.
A new refinery would take at least 6 years and cost billions of dollars to build, and another decade to recoup that investment. Risky business when the world is moving to reduce its use of gasoline. So Lynn Westphal, chief economist with Tesoro, the country's third largest independent refiner, says we're in a race we cannot win.
At the present rate of demand growth, every year we have to build the equivalent of 2.5 refineries, and that just keeps us where we are.
Which means every time a fire or storm knocks a refinery offline, we'll pay for it at the pump. Anthony Mason, CBS News, New York.
Turning overseas now, Iraq's defense minister said today he's drawing up contingency plans just in case the United States makes a quick pullout from Iraq. President Bush expressed continuing support for Iraq in a phone call today to Nouri al-Maliki, marking his first anniversary as prime minister. But the White House has warned Baghdad it wants to see results on political issues, including how to divide oil money among Iraqi factions. Also in the Middle East, the new violence in Lebanon. President Bush said today militants battling the government need to be, quote, reined in. Fierce battles have raged over 2 days at a refugee camp in Tripoli. 40,000 refugees were caught in the middle as Lebanon's military fought a group with ties to al-Qaeda. And late tonight, the violence spread to Beirut. More now from Mark Phillips.
A car bomb in Beirut tonight has provoked fears that the tinderbox of Lebanon is about to ignite. Explosions there killed one person and injured several others as the country seemed to teeter once again on the brink. In a Palestinian refugee camp up near the Syrian border, what began as a police operation following a bank robbery is looking like a familiar form of Lebanese urban warfare. The Lebanese army have been using heavy artillery and machine guns to pound the teeming Nahr al-Bared camp. The army had been called in after police raided suspected hideouts of a Palestinian splinter group called Fatah al-Islam, searching for men wanted in a recent robbery. The militants responded by attacking police and army positions, killing 27 soldiers. At least 50 militants are known to have died in the fighting. The Lebanese army now has the camp surrounded, cut off, and under effective siege. The civilian casualty toll is unknown, but is likely to be high. The militants, thought to number only a few hundred, continue to resist. Fatah al-Islam, a radical Palestinian group based in Lebanon, is thought to be linked to al-Qaeda. So far, it has only been involved in the insurgency in Iraq. Not anymore. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
Meanwhile, one of Britain's most famous sailing ships went up in flames today. The Cutty Sark was heavily damaged. It was in dry dock for renovations when the fire broke out. Fortunately, its mass and many of its fixtures were being stored elsewhere, and officials believe they can still make it good as new. This is what the Cutty Sark used to look like. She was immortalized in paintings and gave her name to a popular brand of scotch. The Cutty Sark first sailed back in 1870, the Ferrari of sailboats, sleek and fast and built for the tea trade with China before being replaced by bigger, faster steamships. Well, sleek and fast they are not, but the wayward whales stranded in the Sacramento River are headed out to sea at a whale's pace. Here's Sandra Hughes.
Here it is.
After days of trying to lure the humpback whales to the sea with an underwater whale feeding song, in the end it was the sound of tugboats that sent the pair, now unofficially named Delta and Dawn, on their way back down the Sacramento River.
Everyone was cheering, and it was great.
By this afternoon, they had traveled 25 miles from the port of Sacramento to a bridge at Rio Vista, crossing under once, then twice, pausing north of the bridge.
They may be just resting.
Let's hope marine expert Rod McInnes is right. The mother and her calf are saltwater creatures who don't belong here. Now they may be on their way home.
They've come the easiest way so far. It's a pretty straight shot, so I'd say the hardest part is yet to come.
The hard part, mile after mile of tempting wrong turns for an already disoriented duo. But now they have a shoreline fan club cheering them toward the sea. Sandra Hughes, CBS News, Los Angeles.
And there's a lot more news ahead. Coming up next, immigration, deal or no deal? Who's poking holes in the plan and why?
Constipation sufferers, you know there hasn't been a new laxative in years. But today, Miralax is available without a prescription. Miralax works differently, and it restores your body's natural rhythm without causing cramps or gas. Miralax, today's medicine for constipation.
Tennis Serenity has kept you feeling fresh and staying active. And now there's a brand new look that's as fresh as you feel.
Sometimes I feel irregular, bloated.
Does that ever happen to you?
Not lately. I took the Activia Challenge.
Eat it every day for 2 weeks.
It works or it's free.
Ooh.
Heard about the Activia Challenge?
I told you. We have Medicare supplement insurance because, well, there are gaps in your Medicare coverage that Medicare supplement insurance will
Supplement?
It's exactly what it does.
Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. Insure life. Begin today.
We took the Land Rover LR3 and compared it to the Hyundai Santa Fe. The Santa Fe beat the Land Rover in the 0 to 60 test and in the quarter-mile test. It also beat the Land Rover on the dry slalom and the wet slalom course, as well as in dry and wet accident avoidance tests. But the Land Rover did beat the Santa Fe in number of cup holders. Well, you can't win everything. The Hyundai Santa Fe, $13,000 less than the Land Rover, and a few less cup holders. Hyundai, smart move.
Just because I'm a doctor doesn't mean I don't worry about my cholesterol.
Inventor of the Jarvik Artificial Heart, Dr. Robert Jarvik.
For many people like me, diet and exercise aren't enough. But adding Lipitor significantly lowers bad cholesterol, 39 to 60%. I take it because it does more than that. Unlike some cholesterol medicines, Lipitor is FDA approved to reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke if you have several common risk factors for heart disease. And Lipitor is one of the most researched medicines. You don't have to be a doctor to appreciate that. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. You need simple blood tests to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor if you're taking other medications or if you have any muscle pain or weakness. This may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. Lipitor is one of many treatment options to consider with your doctor. Lowering cholesterol is important, but could you be doing more with Lipitor? Ask your doctor. Don't wait.
That landmark bill to overhaul the nation's immigration laws cleared a hurdle today as the Senate voted to officially consider the plan. Key senators and the White House still hope to win final approval this summer. But if today's debate is any indication, that may be a lot easier said than done. Here's our chief White House correspondent, Jim Axelrod.
The immigration bill, hailed as a bipartisan breakthrough last week,
began to be picked apart this week. First, Senate Republicans.
It rewards folks for breaking the law. It lets them stay in this country without ever having to return to their homeland.
Then, Senate Democrats, who say it doesn't do enough for undocumented workers.
We must not create a law that guarantees a permanent underclass. People who are here to work in low-wage, low-skilled jobs.
Last week, a dozen senators, liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans, announced a compromise with the White House with great optimism.
This plan isn't perfect, but it's a strong bill.
The compromise calls for tougher border security and changes the entry criteria for immigrants, emphasizing employability over family ties. But undocumented workers already here could get visas to stay while they seek permanent residency. That's what critics call amnesty, a deal breaker for many conservatives. And the Senate is just step one. The bill still has to get through the House.
And I think you're seeing a lot of Democrats and Republicans who initially thought this was a good idea are really having second thoughts.
The White House wants a big victory for the president's legacy, but this is going to be a delicate coalition to keep together. Senators John McCain and John Cornyn were reportedly yelling at each other over the bill. McCain apparently cursing like a sailor. And they're both members of the president's own party. Katie?
All right, Jim Axelrod. Jim, thank you. Now to the presidential election. State after state is looking to have more influence in determining the nominees. Florida today became the latest to move up its primary. The Sunshine State will join South Carolina in voting January 29th. Only New Hampshire, Iowa, and Nevada will have earlier contests, and that puts them all ahead of the Super Tuesday crowd of 12 states holding primaries and caucuses on February 5th. Meanwhile, Bill Richardson made it official today with a formal announcement that he is running for president. He's one of 8 Democrats in the field. He's currently the governor of New Mexico. During the Clinton administration, he served as America's UN ambassador and Secretary of Energy. Richardson grew up in Mexico City and says immigration reform will be a key issue in his campaign for president. Coming up next, a pill to end all periods. But should women be taking it?
Honey, how do I stop this itch?
Aww. Is it dry skin, bug bite,
sunburn, allergy, grass itch, prickly heat, eczema, rash, poison ivy?
The only medicine you need is Lanacane. It stops itching on contact, kills germs too. Lanacane, the everyday, every itch fighter.
Sometimes I feel irregular, bloated.
Does that ever happen to you?
Not lately. I took the Activia challenge.
Eat it every day for 2 weeks.
It works or it's free. Ooh.
Heard about the Activia challenge?
I told you.
Extra bacon, no lettuce, no tomato.
That's me.
Could have had a V8, 100% vegetable juice, with 3 of your daily vegetable servings in every little bottle.
We've combined serious drain cleaning power with technology of the future. It's Liquid Plumber Foaming Pipe Snake. Clear slow drains, cleans pipe walls. Liquid Plumber Foaming Pipe Snake.
Millions of people watch me cook, but I watch what I eat. Still, when my doctor checked my cholesterol, it was slightly higher than we'd like. We talked about statins, a good option. For me, he chose Zetia. It works differently. Statins work mainly with the liver. Zetia works in the digestive tract like some other medicines. But Zetia is unique in the way it helps block the absorption of cholesterol that comes from food. Zetia, along with a healthy diet, lowered bad cholesterol by an average of 30 points. That's 18%. It complements what I'm already doing.
Zetia may not be right for people who have ever had liver problems, are nursing or pregnant, or may become pregnant. Your doctor will decide if Zetia is right for you. Unexplained muscle pain or weakness could be a sign of a rare but serious side effect and should be reported to a doctor right away. Common side effects included tiredness and stomach pain.
3, 2. Cooking healthy. Ask your doctor if Zetia is right for you. Zetia, a different way to help fight cholesterol.
No one enjoys a good laugh like Chris Clark. Have one with him. Watch 4 decades of bloopers tonight on News Channel 5 at 6. Have you seen the world from the eyes of Sky 5? Cinematic, widescreen views of every story on News Channel 5 HD. Higher, wider, closer, clearer. Sky 5 takes you there live, only on News Channel 5.
Big news now for women looking for more control over an inconvenient fact of life, your period. Tomorrow, the FDA is expected to approve Librel. It's a new birth control pill that suppresses your period. Great idea? Maybe not. Here's Michelle Miller.
What did you call your period growing up?
The monster.
Rosa Nolasco's period was so bad, it became her monthly menace.
What did you learn today?
The 39-year-old mother of 4 suffered all the classic symptoms of PMS. Then she took Librel.
It was just no cramping, no bloating, no chocolate craving, any of that stuff.
Librel is a new kind of birth control pill, which not only prevents pregnancy, it eliminates periods, period. Dr. Ann Davis led a clinical trial on the drug.
What women need to know about Librel that makes it different from other pills is that it's something you take every day. There's no week off as there is in a traditional pill.
Doctors studying the new pill say it's no riskier than the traditional pill, but medical researcher Linda Andrus would like to see more studies on its long-term safety.
We don't know about bone health, breast cancer, heart disease, strokes, clots, especially for young women.
The very idea of this drug makes some women nervous.
Maybe it would be best to just let nature run its course.
I feel like that's slightly unnatural and it would be a little unnerving.
The fact is, women have been manipulating their menstrual cycles with birth control pills for the last 40 years. All forms of the pill work by stopping ovulation and suppressing periods. There's already one that limits the period to 4 times a year. Librel will be marketed as the next step.
I would say it's more of an evolution, not a revolution.
One with big business potential. A third of women in one survey said they would like to say goodbye to what they call the monthly curse.
It makes life a lot more convenient.
And that may be the real attraction to women, the ability to make periods a lifestyle choice and not just a fact of life. Michelle Miller, CBS News, New York.
For more on Librel and other contraceptives, you can go to our partner in health coverage, WebMD.com, and just search birth control. And now a big step aimed at protecting kids from online predators. MySpace today reversed itself and agreed to turn over to state attorneys general all the information it has on registered sex offenders who use its site. MySpace has been building a database and says it has already removed 7,000 predators, but it kept their names and addresses. 180 million people use MySpace. Coming up next, a profile in courage, what she did to save her neighbors and the future of an entire city.
Tomorrow, the real Philadelphia story. From history to healthcare to presidential politics, Katie Couric will bring it to you live from the city of brotherly love on the CBS Evening News.
Presenting Ortho Weed Be Gone Max. So revolutionary, it targets and kills the toughest weeds without harming your lawn. Ortho Weed Be Gone sprayed here, ordinary weed killer here. Only Ortho Weed Be Gone has a foaming action and weed targeting formula for total root kill. So it killed the weeds, but not the grass. The ordinary weed killer killed everything. Ortho Weed Be Gone Max. Kills weeds, not lawns. Guaranteed. Now available with new crabgrass control.
Mosquitoes? Don't soak yourself with a sticky wet repellent. Stay dry with new Off Smooth and Dry. Its unique cornstarch formula dries on contact, so it's comfortable on your skin, unlike ordinary repellents. Feel the difference.
Wow.
With new Off Family Care Smooth and Dry. Feels good on, keeps bugs off. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
Her bread always came from her oven. She spent all day on her pot roast, and the buttons on her gingerbread men had to be double chocolate chip. That's how grandmas showed their love. Marie Callender's does it with her chicken pot pie. A flaky crust filled with juicy white meat, tender vegetables, and absolutely no shortcuts. Marie Callender's. Marie's dinners are also filled with her special touches and real ingredients.
Here's to a healthy heart and all the wonderful feelings that come along with it. New Benefiber Plus B vitamins and folic acid. Clear, tasteless fiber with heart-healthy B vitamins. Benefiber. Improve the fiber of your being.
This is a very uncomfortable situation.
Sales of flatulent. I've remained silent but deadly about this problem so far.
Got gas on your mind? Gas X Thin Strips dissolve quickly and relieve gas fast. Gas X, pressure's off.
If you use those over-the-counter drops several times a day, you may have chronic dry eye due to decreased tear production without knowing it, like me. And my doctor prescribed Restasis.
With continued use, Restasis helps increase your natural ability to produce tears, which may be reduced by inflammation due to chronic dry eye. It should not be used by patients with active eye infections and has not been studied in patients with a history of herpes viral infections of the eye. The most common side effect is a temporary burning sensation.
More of my own tears. Thanks, Restasis.
Coming up in just moments on News Channel 5 at 6, you could call it the state trooper and the porn star, but officials in Wilson County don't find it amusing. Details at 6.
The John F. Kennedy Library Foundation presented its annual Profiles in Courage Award today. Mayor Bill White of Houston was cited for welcoming hundreds of thousands of hurricane victims to his city, Hurricane Katrina victims, in the face of public criticism there. And New Orleans educator Doris Voce also showed extraordinary courage in the wake of Katrina. Courage and, as Kelly Kobayea reports, the American spirit.
Oh, good afternoon.
You wouldn't know it from Doris Voce's conservative suit and quiet manner, but the superintendent of St. Bernard Parish Schools is a force of nature.
Give me a hug.
She has given her life to the children, to the parents, to St. Bernard Parish.
In the days after Hurricane Katrina hit, this administrator turned into a rescuer.
This was the boat dock.
Absolutely. The water came right under the top of the overhang.
Voce helped pull hundreds of people onto the second floor of the high school, the only high ground.
They just kept coming and coming
and coming and coming because this was the only place where they felt they could be somewhat safe.
Floods damaged or destroyed every last home, business, and all 15 schools in the parish. FEMA wouldn't move fast enough for Voce, so she launched her second rescue mission, ignoring the bureaucracy of FEMA. Buying whatever she needed to rebuild with the district's reserves and loans and sending FEMA the bill and convincing teachers to come back and help her.
Thank you.
Pre-Katrina, would you have considered yourself a rebel?
Not really. I think pre-Katrina I was basically, as most teachers are and most educators, a rule follower. But I quickly saw that in a crisis situation, you had to throw all that out because nothing would get done.
Just 11 weeks after the storm, St. Bernard Parish had a school again and 334 students. Today, the numbers have swelled to 3,800 and growing.
They do look like they're having fun anyway, don't they?
That makes you happy?
Oh, it makes me tremendously happy. There were so many dark days in the beginning where you cry every day, you wonder what's going to happen from day to day. Then all I have to do is walk into a school and see them smiling and talk with them, and then we know what it's all about.
It still isn't easy. Voce is still fighting to recoup $15 million from FEMA, but these days she relishes the role of rebel. It's the role of hero that makes her squirm.
Are you uncomfortable with it? Are you embarrassed by it?
Yes, very much so. You know, when people congratulate me on these awards, I feel a lot, very much embarrassed, because I don't feel that I personally have done anything that's exceptional.
Teachers, parents, and hundreds of kids would disagree.
So great when they tell you they love you, huh?
Kelly Kobayea, CBS News, St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana.
Sorry, Doris. Congratulations. And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. I'm Katie Couric in New York. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow from Philadelphia. Good night.
CBS News. See it now, anytime, anywhere.
A Tennessee Highway Patrol trooper is in trouble tonight. Investigators say it's what he did after he pulled over a porn star for speeding.
Seth Elliott was shot 4 times by his own father. Tonight in a News Channel 5 exclusive, he's talking about what happened the day his mother and sister were killed.
And a prayer vigil is underway at Legislative Plaza at this hour. I'm Phil Jones, live in Sky 5. We'll tell you what these folks are praying about coming up in a live report.
And as you see on radar, dry weather. It's been a warm afternoon. Right now, 83 degrees in Clarksville. St. Thomas Hospital coming in at 81 degrees. Your news begins now.
From your news and information leader, Tennessee's first and only local news in high definition. This is News Channel 5 at 6.
Good evening, everyone. A state trooper is off the job tonight.
James Moss is accused of using his position to proposition a porn star. Investigators say the shocking details were revealed when a co-worker told on him. News Channel 5's Rodney Dunnigan explains what happened when the trooper pulled over the porn star.
Chris, this is quite a story. It appears this trooper may have made a big mistake in judgment.